Bangladesh currently has a population of close to 150 million people and a poverty headcount of around 30% of the nation. The number of children born each year is at slightly less than 4 million, making the density of the Bangladeshi population higher than any other country on our planet. Unless fertility levels drop, the country will add another estimated 100 million people before its population stabilizes. But what do any of these statistics really mean? For a teenage mother of 4 living in the poverty-stricken backstreets of urban areas in Bangladesh, such as its capital city, Dhaka, overpopulation means a large number of things. Women are undoubtedly marginalized within Bangladeshi society. In both urban and rural communities, they seem to be the demographic group struck hardest by poverty and its effects, especially when they are the single head of their family or household. Women in Bangladesh frequently suffer from discrimination and abuse, as crimes against women such as sexual harassment and rape are, unfortunately, very common within Bangladeshi society, and access to resources such as healthcare and education have always been limited, meaning that prospective productivity among the female population also remains low. As well as this, Bangladesh has, until very recently, maintained one of the highest proportions of child marriage in the world, with 29% of girls being married before they turn 15 years old and 65% before the age of 18. All of these different components contribute to the overpopulation of the nation as a whole. A girl pressured into marriage in her early teens, paired with little to no knowledge or regard for health care or contraceptive methods, is a combination which can only create societal dilemma. The extremely high population density of Bangladesh means less employment opportunities for those in need of a job. As the search for a way to sustain oneself and one's family becomes increasingly difficult, Bangladeshi men and women become more desperate and are forced to take jobs with dangerous working conditions and very low pay. For women who live in or migrate to these urban areas, a common job is within Bangladesh's well-renowned garment industry. In these jobs, for which females make up around 90% of the workforce, wages are minimal and typically range between 20 to 30% of male wage rates. The health and safety of women working under these conditions is often disregarded. Workers are denied breaks, forced to work between 60 and 140 hours overtime per week, and are often cheated out of their pay. However, despite the fact that women are the backbone of Bangladesh's leading industry, their work is widely undervalued and unreported. For a young mother living in an overpopulated and poverty-plagued society, though, there is no other alternative. Ultimately, the exploitation of female workers in South Asian nations such as Bangladesh is a serious issue which can be traced directly back to the overpopulation of the country, which can in turn be traced back to a cultural marginalization and maltreatment of women within Bangladeshi society. So, how do we address the imminent matter of overpopulation in countries such as Bangladesh? It would seem as though the education and empowerment of young girls and women is the best place to start.
With density numbers nearing almost 3,000 people per square mile, Bangladesh is facing more adversity than just an aging population. Overcrowding is affecting resource supplies, fertility has fallen in recent years, and the nation is experiencing high immigration numbers as well. These factors forewarn a possible population decline in the future. This is reflected by the projected population in 2075 being less than 200 million, but between 2075 and 2150 is predicted to rise at a much higher rate than before 2075. Life expectancy is currently 70.6 years in Bangladesh, which is over 8 years shorter than that in the US. Despite very low HIV rates, citizens of Bangladesh face a high risk of major infectious disease. This could lead to sudden drops in population numbers, especially amongst the bulk of the population that is around the age of 20 right now. The nation's literacy rate is around only 43%, which plays into the population because literacy rates often reflect proficiency of the country's education system as a whole. A less educated population can lead to baby booms and high fertility rates, as shown across many impoverished populations spanning southern Asia. The Bangladeshi population should stabilize at around 260 million people in the mid-22nd century, as it is currently only about halfway through its projected S-curve. However, with overcrowding affecting resources, the S-curve could level out decades sooner than expected and impact the population of its entire region.
Bangladesh has the 8th largest population in the world, which is just under 160 million people. However, its area, which is 56,980 square miles, is 92nd in the world. This leads to Bangladesh having the 5th largest population density in the world. With its high population density, many people would think that the problems that come along with very high population density may be happening in Bangladesh. Like these would include a lack of open space, shortage of clean water, and high pollution such as sewage in the streets and just trash and air pollution in general. But, however, Bangladesh is actually facing a much worse problem than just population density. By the year 2075, Bangladesh's population is expected to be at around 195 million people. Well, this seems like a pretty high population. If Bangladesh's population was only around 195 million people by 2075, that would mean only 30 million people would have been added to the population in a span of 30 years. This is due to Bangladesh having a very aging population, much like Japan is facing right now. By 2075, if the projections are correct, Bangladesh would have about 23% of their whole population be over 50 years old. This would be a sharp contrast from what the current population is, which is right now about 40% of the population is under 20 years old. This aging population would be pretty bad for Bangladesh because taxes would be much higher for the working class because the workers have to pay for the old people, as well as increased government spending on healthcare and things that old people need.